I used to love playing Twisted Metal. It's a vehicular, combat-style gameplay that made it a huge contrast from other video games on the market, and the characters had a lot of charm to them. My favorite character out of all of them was definitely Sweet Tooth. His unrepentant brutality and wisecracking mouth made him an instant icon of the series. He's more or less the mascot of the franchise, and it's hard to imagine a Twisted Metal game without him. Playing the game as a kid, he scared the hell out of me, but now I can't help admiring him as a villain. One day, I found myself growing nostalgic for the Killer Clown, so I decided to boot up my old PS2 to play my favorite game in the series, TM Black. I inserted the disc into the console, but nothing happened. I repeated this process several times, only to reach the same result. The unfortunate reality that my game disc was damaged then dawned on me. This naturally pissed me off, since I invested countless hours into this near masterpiece. All was not lost, however. I knew of a comic book shop that specialized in selling old and obscure media. Their video game selection was paltry, but I figured it was the fastest way to get the game at a reasonable price. It took a long but well worth it train ride to downtown Toronto to reach my destination. I clenched firmly to the hood of my coat as the harsh winter winds collided with my face. Snowfall was sure to come soon, so hunkering down in my apartment with my favorite game was looking ideal. Greg, the owner of the shop, stared daggers into me as soon as I arrived. He's kinda weird like that. He had this shaggy black hair and heavy sunken eyes that made him look like the type of guy you'd bump into a dark alleyway. Greg's never really bothered with me before, so I tried not to pay him any mind. Still, it's hard not to wonder what goes on in his creepy little mind. The way he looks at female customers always gives the chills. I'd be surprised if he didn't have some kind of rap sheet. I walked past aisles of comics and headed straight to their modest video game section. My eyes scanned on each title in my hunt for Black. To my dismay, it wasn't there. Did I come all this way for nothing? Not wanting to admit defeat just yet, I asked Greg if he had the game in stock. He just stared at me for a few seconds before giving a creepy smile and led me to the back of the shop. There was a whole row of games and DVDs with pitch black covers. He handed me a case with Twisted Metal Black, which had a crudely drawn picture featuring Sweet Tooth. "What the heck is this?" I asked. "It's the game you wanted. It's a used copy, so it didn't come with its original cover. Decided to give it a makeover," Greg replied in his gravelly voice. I remained skeptical of the game's quality, but bought it regardless. I joked to myself that this would be like owning a rare collector's item. My excitement lasted the entire train ride back home. I quickly inserted the disc inside my PlayStation and watched the screen come to life. Maybe it's because it's been a while since I've played the game, but the intro was different from what I remembered. There was a much heavier focus on Sweet Tooth, who was often slashing at unseen victims with his large knife. A blood splatter briefly appeared on the screen before the screen shifted to a blurry image of him sitting in an apartment room. This was incredibly strange, because none of the games ever featured the characters in a home environment. Once the game finished booting up, I had the time of my life playing through Sweet Tooth's route. His story of being a serial killer clown who killed Calypso in his own ending remained as iconic as ever. It was so satisfying to finally turn the tables on that sadistic mastermind. My entertainment soon turned into confusion upon seeing the credits finish rolling and displaying the title, Total Metal Lost, on screen. What the hell was going on? TM Lost is a bonus feature that was only featured in special editions of TM Head-On. So, it would have been impossible for my copy of Black to have it. Greg definitely modded the disc, but I wasn't complaining. Little surprises like this will always get a warm welcome from me. At least that's what I thought before finding out what the game truly had in store for me. Immediately after selecting the Lost mode, Sweet Tooth's guttural laugh blared from my speakers. The scene then showed Sweet Tooth running around in an asylum with his iconic cleaver in hand. Asylum workers would spawn sporadically throughout the stage, and I controlled Sweet Tooth to cut them all up. I was loving this mod more and more with every second. It was like I was experiencing the true Sweet Tooth. A seasoned serial killer, unrestricted by the confines of a car. He was free to slaughter indiscriminately, and I was in full control of his mayhem. By the time I was done, the asylum was left painted in blood. Once the level was complete, the screen faded to black before an image of Sweet Tooth sitting in a wooden chair appeared.
Hello, John. Having fun yet?
I felt my body jolt in surprise. Sweet Tooth had just said my name. Even if Greg modded this game, how could he know that I would be the one to buy it? Just how many more surprises did he have up his sleeve?
Looks to me like you're going to be having a hell of a time cutting those pigs up. Can't say I blame ya. Just don't forget that this is still my game and you have to play by my rules. The next level should be something very familiar. Let's play a game of hide and seek. You be the scared little lamb, and I'll be the butcher that serves you on a platter. See you soon.
A wicked cackle roared from my speakers before a loading screen of a smiling Sweet Tooth popped up. My blood ran cold when I saw what stage was next. It was my city. More specifically, it was a supermarket near my neighborhood. I find it hard to believe that Greg had only coincidentally modded my neighborhood into one of my favorite games. Had he been stalking me? The attention to detail was immaculate. Greg had perfectly replicated the streets and stores surrounding the market, down to the chips of paint on their signs. It was all so uncanny. I watched Sweet Tooth walk through the crowded streets while brandishing his cleaver without anyone noticing him. He was completely invisible to everyone but me. Sweet Tooth dashed down several blocks, gradually getting closer to my neighborhood. Fear swelled in my heart as Sweet Tooth approached my home with his bloody cleaver, shining radiantly. I immediately unplugged my PS2 and locked my bedroom door. Bullets of sweat raced down my head as I ruminated about what just happened. Greg was one sick fuck for making something like this. Was this his idea of a joke? He must have been some sort of messed up stalker. Just as I was about to curse him out over the phone, a loud bang at my door froze me solid. It was a kind of unhinged, violent bang that made it clear whoever was on the other side had vile intentions. I weakly walked over to the peephole to see who it could be, and I felt my blood turn to ice. Those baggy white pants and macabre mask were unmistakable. Sweet Tooth was at my door, with his face mere inches away from the hole. What the hell was going on? I had no explanation for what I saw, but there, Sweet Tooth was looking like he wanted to make my head roll. I at first thought it was Greg continuing his prank on me, but Sweet Tooth's physique is far too different. Greg was more on the lean side, while Sweet Tooth is incredibly stocky. To make matters worse, this man's head was aflame, and yet he didn't seem to be in the slightest bit of pain. I immediately barricaded my door with whatever furniture I had and locked myself in my upstairs bedroom. I grabbed my phone to call the cops, but for some reason, it wasn't working. All I got was static on the speaker. I barely had enough time to wonder what was going on when I heard a loud crash come from downstairs. Loud stomps echoed throughout my apartment and quickly drew closer to me. My heart felt just about ready to burst from my chest. I couldn't believe that Sweet Tooth was about to kill me. The pounding at my door grew louder by the second, and it felt like the walls were closing in on me. In my panic, I almost forgot about my fire escape. I dashed out of the window and to the metallic balcony, just in time to hear my door burst open. Not taking a second to look back, I bolted down each ladder with frantic energy. My mind was focused solely on getting the hell out of there. Once my feet touched the concrete, I was prepared to run to the nearest police station. But to my horror, Sweet Tooth had just landed right in front of me. He cackled a hideous laugh before the tip of his cleaver was embedded in my stomach. Mind-numbing pain consumed every part of my mind, and the only thing that I could do was cry and puke up blood. The last thing I saw before blacking out was Sweet Tooth standing over me, laughing menacingly. When I woke up, I could hardly believe I was still alive. I sat in a hospital room with a whole bunch of tubes connected to me. After the nurses let the police know that I was awake, they came over to interrogate me. All I could tell them was that someone dressed as a clown broke into my apartment and tried to kill me. No way were they going to believe that some video game character had come to life to annihilate me. It was obvious that the police search would lead nowhere. I never went back to that comic shop after that day. Whoever Greg is, he's a creepy bastard that everyone should stay the hell away from. I can't even enjoy playing Twisted Metal anymore without thinking of that horrific incident. To anyone hearing this, keep yourself safe and never go to the magnific noir comic shop. If you are based in the UK and would like to enjoy freshly batch roasted coffee delivered to your door, visit vitalcoffee.co.uk and use the coupon code mrfreakystory to get 10% off from all products. I will leave a link in the description below.